Greeting EMDR friends, Kambria Evans here, the teaching and learning EMDR consultant. And y'all, I am coming with a free resource video today, and I am crispy, I am tired. I'm sure a lot of you are feeling the same way. And I'm showing up. I'm showing up because I want to come and I want to share things I've been thinking about, questions I've been asking myself, things that have been coming up in my consultation groups, whether it's in my general consultation groups with Zero Disturbance or my EMDR Moms consultation groups. I want to share that with you because we are all in this figuring this out, and I want to keep showing up and helping our community. And I'm so proud of our community, by the way, for getting through the last year as we're coming up on the year anniversary of the COVID pandemic, sheltering in place. And for those of you who have gotten your COVID vaccines, I am just so thrilled and relieved that you are protected and safe. Hoping to get mine here in California, probably in mid to late March, now that I understand that the shot's been available to people like teachers, essential workers, and healthcare workers. So there is a light at the end of this COVID tunnel. So all of that being said, I wanted to ask a question with you all today that I know you have either asked it or you've heard it asked with clients, but this question of how long does EMDR take? And it's important for us to think about this question because it's going to be something that we encounter. And I just feel very unsatisfied with the responses that I hear. So hoping to talk about that and think about that with you in a critical way and hopefully give you some frameworks and language to be able to answer that question in a way that feels respectful and clear to your clients or to your consultees if you are an EMDR consultant in training or an approved consultant. For those of you who are not subscribed to Zero Disturbance, I would invite you to go on that website and subscribe to keep getting free resources. We also have a new course, the lesson plan that just launched. It's been a big hit. And in the lesson plan course, we are asking really important questions about EMDR, and we're using frameworks from teaching and learning science to answer them in a really clear, easy, and effective way. So I hope that you get a taste of what's in that course today. So this question of how long does EMDR take? I've heard things from it depends to 2 to 3 sessions for one target. I've heard it takes 8 to 12 sessions for a single incident trauma. I've heard quickly for single incident, but longer for complex trauma. And I just want to take a moment and kind of I love comparing different fields to make a point. Just compare this to like brain surgery. Because whether you know it or not, EMDR clinicians are the brain surgeons of therapists. We are highly trained, okay? We are laser focused in how we work, right? We're not just here for support therapy, we're here for change therapy. So that being said, could you imagine having to go in for brain surgery or really any surgery and asking your brain surgeon, well, how long will the procedure take? How long will recovery take? Could you imagine if your brain surgeon said to you, it just depends? Or even went a step further and said, it just depends like how messed up your brain is. Because that's kind of what we're saying when we say to clients, it depends, or longer for complex trauma. All right. So I believe, even though we are crispy and tired and just have so much, what I'm calling senioritis with COVID, I know we can do better. And there's an easy way to do better, which I love, right? So why do we answer that question in that way? Well, I think when we think about the question of how long does it take to do EMDR, I think we're missing what we're really asking in that question, okay? So when someone says, how long does EMDR take? Are we answering the question, how long does therapy take? Are we answering the question, how long will it take to reach these goals? Are we answering the question of how long will this specific target take versus how long the entire EMDR process will take, right? Are we talking about how long we're going to hang out in phase 4 versus how long we're going to hang out in phase 2, right? So I don't think we have clarity on what we're actually answering. So let's make it easy, okay? Let's make it easy because we're tired. When someone says to me, when a client or consultee says to me, how long does EMDR take? What I say is, well, it sounds like you're wanting to know how long it's going to take to learn something new. Fair? And if that's the question under the question, right? How long will EMDR take? When will I be done? Is what I'm hearing in that question. The question I ask then is, how will we know that learning is done? Which then begs the question of what wants to be learned now and what has been learned before. Okay. Y'all know I have a teaching background. I was at Stanford for 14 years teaching adult learners. I think about EMDR through the framework of teaching and learning science. Okay. Because what is EMDR? It's an accelerated connection of information in the brain to update old learning and to have new learning. Okay. So here's the thing. If someone comes to me with a single incident trauma, I would never say to them, we'll have this target cleared up in 2 to 3 sessions, or we'll get this whole process done in 8 to 12. I will never say that to a client. What I will say is, what do you want to learn? Okay. And then I'll say, beautiful. What have you learned before? What's the old learning that needs some attention as we're learning what you want to learn now? Okay. It helps me understand what's there so that we know how long it's going to take. Let me give you a really easy example. Okay. I'm not a swimmer, so just bear with me through this analogy. If I were to go to a swim coach and I were to say, I'm 40 years old and I've never learned how to actually swim, like for real, with actual strokes and all of that. Okay. The swim coach might want to kind of assess a little bit about what I believe about swimming, what I know about swimming, what I can do in the water, if I can even get into the water, if I'm comfortable, right? There's going to be some assessment around that. And then the swim coach might be able to answer my question and say, well, you love water and you can kind of get in there and splash around. So I don't imagine it's going to take too long to figure out how to do just a regular breaststroke, right? And he would break down for me all the parts of learning that would be required to do that stroke, if that was my end goal of taking a swim class. All right. So pretty straightforward. But if we have another person come into the pool and say to the coach, I'm really scared of the water and I really want to learn how to do a backstroke. Oh, and by the way, I've actually never been in water before. I won't even take a bath. I just take showers. That coach or that teacher is going to know that learning is going to take longer because there's some old learning that's very powerful and strong and has an emotional charge to it. And the new learning, right, is a little bit farther away for that client or that learner. Make sense? So when we meet with a client and they ask this question, how long does EMDR take? When will I be done? When will I get there to that place that means done for me as the client? We want to ask them a ton of questions in response. We want to ask them things like, what do you want to learn? What have you learned before? Right? What's some old learning that's getting in your way right now? Okay. And what kind of a learner are you? Do you even think of yourself as someone that is a strong learner? Okay. Because a lot of what EMDR requires us to do, right? Noticing our body, noticing our emotions, noticing that we're in the present and also back in the memory. Okay. With this dual awareness. A lot of what EMDR requires us to do isn't even something that a lot of our clients are capable of doing yet. Right? They have to do a lot of skill practice and drill practice, just like in teaching and learning science, to be able to even do EMDR itself. Right? So if a client comes in and says, I have a history of, broken relationships romantically, and I can see it's connected to attachment stuff with my parents. I want to have a healthy marriage. Okay? just to get that client to do EMDR itself is a different process than getting them to where they want to be, which is, married in a healthy relationship. Okay. So we want to be really curious with clients about, how do we know that EMDR is done? How will we know that learning is done? What does that even look like for you? What's the vision around that? Okay. And what learning has to happen now, and what old learning is coming up that's informing your choices, or how your body feels, or how you feel, or how you connect or don't connect with other people, right? When we have this information, we can give them a very clear and respectful response. And we can actually show them, and we can say, well, you just told me that you want to be able to do the breaststroke, right? And you're pretty comfortable with water. So here's how long it will probably take to learn these skills, okay? But if you've never been in water before, because you grew up in a chaotic home, right? If you've never had a healthy attachment before, then it's probably where we're going to need to do this skill development and this learning, and map it out with them. Show them, here's what it's going to take to get there. Okay. Now, in the lesson plan course, I do have a roadmap for clients that I will actually pull out and show them, here's where we're starting from, and here's where it sounds like you want to go. And then actually it's a very detailed chart of, here's what you need to be able to learn how to do in order to get where you want to go. And then we have a really respectful contract, right? And then they always in this map know where we are. Okay. It's kind of like if I'm in California and I want to drive out to Maryland, I need to know I'm starting from California and that I'm going to Maryland, so that when we're going along the way and we're in Kansas, I understand how much farther there is to go. Make sense? So I would encourage you, the next time you get that question, instead of giving some kind of vague answer like it depends, or some vague answer like, well, it depends if you have single incident or complex, or some like made up number of, well, I guess it takes, 8 sessions, or I guess it takes 2 sessions for one target. I want you to actually, for this specific client, learn more about them, right? Give them a lesson plan, give them a learning plan that will show them what needs to happen to get to where they want to go, that will give them a sense of what this time commitment and financial commitment will actually be like and actually look like, because they deserve that. They deserve to be treated like an adult, to get information and to make choices. And to make that choice and to have ownership in that choice, right? So the person that's coming to the swim coach and saying, I'm afraid of water, and the swim coach respectfully and assertively as an adult says, well, here's what needs to happen, and I'm here to help you with that if you want to get there, right? It allows the person to be bought into their choices, to be bought into their learning from the beginning, okay? So I want you to think about that. Try it on for size. If this is getting you excited about feeling clear, feeling confident, having things feel easy, I would invite you to check out the lesson plan on the Zero Disturbance website. And as always, I want to say that y'all are just so mind-blowingly amazing that we've made it through the last year. I am so proud of us. I hope that you know how incredible you are. And if no one's told you that, I'm here to remind you. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.